You write in the book about another home that you guys share, of course, and where you spent half your childhood, which is Mar-a-Lago, and the infamous raid that was pursued by the FBI on your family's most intimate spaces, your little brother Barron's room. And for you, this wasn't just the outrage that it was for all of us. It was that, but it was deeply personal. And you really write about that. Think about it. I mean, the average American, like, you have to think of the FBI with whom you write. Like, your normal approach was very positive toward law enforcement. Yeah. And this was just such a game changer, the way they went in there. I cannot imagine that violation.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time talking about that in the book because, I mean, if there's ever a siege, I mean, that was a literal siege of our home, right? And that was deeply personal to me. I mean, I grew up there, but I get a call from one of the people that run the property. Obviously, I run every Trump property, right? I run the Trump organization, and they called me up. They go, boss, there's 30 FBI agents here with a search warrant. I go, a search warrant? Why would the FBI be here with a search warrant? And by the way, why am I not hearing about this from Secret Service, who I have around me, right? It didn't make any sense. And I go, and they literally told me they're coming in the gate. They have a search warrant. They said, can you ask them to wait 1 minute? We have a lawyer that lives down the street. I'll get them over there. We'll figure out exactly what's going on. No, and they're demanding that you turn off every single security camera. Now, obviously, a commercial property like Mar-a-Lago has a lot of security cameras. I go, tell them I'm not turning off the security cameras. Why in the world would I turn off the security cameras? And they sat there and they ransacked Mar-a-Lago for hours and hours. And I asked him, I go, does my father know about this? And everybody was just silent. I go, I'll call him now. And so we met in his office. We wrote up that tweet that became so famous. Right now the FBI is raiding Mar-a-Lago. The FBI went absolutely nuts when that tweet went out. They go, how dare you? How dare you leak this to the media? I mean, effectively, the message was, how dare you beat us at our own game, which is, and instantly it turned.
We're here to embarrass you.
Of course, and instead we embarrassed them, and my father took it right to them, and he did so instantly, and it was amazing, and I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. And then the aftermath of this, obviously they took HIPAA records, they took medical records, protected under HIPAA. They took my father's all of his attorney-client stuff, right? So every legal document that he had with attorneys, right? So they violated, that really pissed off the judge, by the way, as you can probably imagine. They took his passports, they went through Melania's closet, they went through Barron's room. I mean, they were unrelenting. And then in the aftermath, we find out that Jack Smith was planting classified folders, on the carpet. You remember those perfectly orchestrated photo shoots where everything's fanned out? Like my father just leaves classified folders just perfectly fanned out on a beautiful carpet in the middle of his office. Like my father's a little bit more anal retentive than that, right? That's not really his style. And and yet they admit later on that they planted those folders and conveniently took these photo shoots. And this was the siege. I mean, they wanted to do anything they could to indict him, to imprison him, to bankrupt him, to silence him. I mean, think about all the gag orders. I mean, I became the guy who was standing out front on the steps of the New York courthouse shouting at the top of my lungs because I was only gagged in about 3/4 of the cases. There's a couple of the cases I wasn't quite gagged in, and so I became the de facto spokesperson who was out there yelling because my father couldn't have a voice because during the middle of a presidential campaign, the judge whose daughter worked for the Democratic Party decided to gag order my father and not allow him to speak and defend himself, yet no one else was gag ordered. I mean, this is the hell that they put us through, Megyn, and I want the world to know, kind of how fragile it can be. Like, we live in the greatest, country in the world, the greatest economy. We have the greatest, rule of law, and yet it's still challenged every single day. And honestly, it breaks my heart for countries around the world that don't have the system that we have. As corrupted as our system got throughout this whole process, I mean, could you imagine other countries around the world? I mean, it's
yes, our foundation is still strong.
It gives you full appreciation for what people deal with all over the world.
What about that, Eric? Let me ask you about the so-called lawfare, right? Tish James, James Comey. First, let me ask you this. Would you have liked to have seen a James Comey mugshot like your dad had to submit to?
Well, the mugshot was like the greatest thing that ever happened to us. We raised a fortune off of that thing. And by the way, it took every inner city community and made them all 100% Trump because they said, listen, they've done this to us for the last 5 decades, right? Now they're doing it to this guy. I actually like him. And it was iconic. The enemy of your enemy is your friend, right? Isn't that the famous saying? It's exactly what happened there. And so I don't wish poor on anybody. I really don't. Comey was, in my opinion, a criminal, what he was doing. I want FBI directors in this country to keep planes from flying into buildings, not sit there leaking memos all day to the New York Times. And man, was his priorities messed up. They were horrible, and I think you saw the consequences in the country. I mean,
and so you're not feeling sad about Tish James having to go through this process. Single tear. You and Laura don't sit at night saying, "Oh, such a nice person. Why should this happen to her?"
You know what? I wish no one the hell that I went through based on her actions, which were overturned 5-0 by the appellate courts, as you mentioned before. I mean, finding us $600 million when your lenders are on the stand saying that we're the best customers they've ever had, the best borrowers they've ever had. It was like you're in a make-believe land. It felt like you were in some crazy evil fairy tale. It didn't make any sense. And again, as I said before, they often dig so deep that they find themselves, and that's what happened with her. You want to live by the sword, you die by the sword. Isn't that kind of how life generally works? And again, I don't wish the pain and suffering of our employees, of the lack of sleep that I had for a 4-year period of time on anybody. But the great irony that she apparently did exactly what she was accusing us of doing is nothing short of remarkable.
It's truly like literary the way it's coming down. Today, Eric, by the way, we're talking to Eric Trump. The book is called Under Siege. It hits Tuesday. Get it now before the rush so you can make sure you have it in hand. It's a great read. It's deeply personal. One of my favorite things is he reveals the Secret Service code names for the whole family from Trump on down. You'll have to read the book. I don't want to spoil it here, but they all begin with the letter M, which is interesting. But here we are. It is October 10th, and that means we are exactly 1 month from the day our friend Charlie Kirk was killed. And I wonder how that's affected you as somebody whose dad was shot in the head, a year, not even a year and a half ago. My God. I mean, it's like 15 months ago this happened to your dad. The 3 Trump lovers who were at the rally in Butler who also got shot, one of whom is dead. And then you see this happen to poor Charlie, such a dear ally to your dad, and obviously, most likely, a future president himself. On our side, here's a picture of the two of you together. You knew him well. Your thoughts on it 1 month out?
Listen, I knew him well. He was a good friend. I remember when he was 21 years old, he came into the Trump organization. He told me all the plans of what he was going to do at Turning Point, and he achieved every single one of them. And I was almost rolling my eyes at the time because the aspiration was so large, so large for such a young guy at the time, talking about changing every student body on every college campus around the country. And it's all part of the siege, right? That's what they wanted. They think they could cut the head off the tiger and eliminate eliminate this powerful movement, and what they actually got is the exact opposite of that. They only amplified the movement.
Buy gold and get free silver. That's right. For every $5,000 purchased from Birch Gold Group this month in advance of Veterans Day, they will send you a free patriotic silver round that commemorates the Gadsden and American flags. It's like the Cornelius purchase of gold. Silver and gold all together, thanks to Birch Gold. Look, gold is up over 40% since the beginning of this year, and Birch Gold can help you own it by converting an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Plus, they will send you free silver honoring our veterans on qualifying purchases. And if you are current or former military, Birch Gold has a special offer just for you. They're waiving custodial fees for the first year on investments of any amount. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, consider diversifying your savings into gold. Text MK to the number 989898 for a free info kit and to claim your eligibility for free silver with qualifying purchases. Before the end of the month. Do it before the end of the month. Again, text MK to 989898. Message and data rates may apply. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.